Many of you know that I recently traveled to Scotland to do the ultimate whiskey tour around the country. And a few of you have asked me, what whiskey did you get when you were there? So today I'm going to share my haul with you. Let's get started. Hey guys, thank you for being here. My name is Wade and I am a lover of single malt whiskey. When you travel to Scotland to experience whiskey where it comes from, it's very easy to fall in love with the romantic notion of bringing back wonderful expressions and whiskies that you know you may never get the chance to get your hands on again. So naturally, I tried to do that as much as I could. I've done a very good job, I believe, of bringing some great stuff home. And of course, you can't bring everything back that you want to. I had to be very selective in what whiskies that I chose to bring with me. On the tour, we went all over Scotland, everywhere from down in Glasgow and Edinburgh, and moved our way up into Speyside and the Highlands, over to the Isle of Mull, into Campbelltown, and ultimately over to Islay as well. And we went to many of the distilleries that I have longed to visit, and am wonderfully appreciative that I finally got the chance to get there and see them in person. And the selection I have here to share with you guys today is the bottles that I picked from the distilleries that we visited, or shops that we went to that had amazing things that I knew that would be near impossible to find back in Australia. Okay, so why don't we start with Campbelltown? If you are a whiskey lover outside of Scotland, you're very aware of how challenging it can be to get your hands on any whiskey out of Campbelltown, especially Springbank and Kilkerran expressions. So naturally, the biggest proportion of the haul of whiskey I brought back from Scotland is indeed from Campbelltown. I arrived in Edinburgh after something like 24 hours of flying, and my friend Bobby grabbed the hire car. We jumped in the car straight from the airport and made the more than 4-hour drive straight to Campbelltown. So you can see the commitment we had to get stuck in as soon as we arrived. We went on the barley to bottle tour, so I will talk to that bottle first and foremost. So this is my bottle from the barley to bottle tour. Now, many of you have likely done this tour, but if you haven't, basically it's the most wonderful Scotch whiskey tour you will ever do. You get to see whiskey made in the most purest and traditional way, still done the same way at Springbank as it was hundreds of years ago. And you, at the end of the tour, get to blend your own whiskey bottle and choose the ratios of the whiskeys that you like and find the perfect balance and then bottle it. And that's what I got to do here. So probably the greatest bottle that I have come back from Scotland with, because it's one of a kind, and I got to make it. So for those of you that are interested and probably curious, the bottles, when I arrived on the tour, you get 6 different single malts in front of you. You have a first fill bourbon barrel at 11 years old, a refill Sauternes hogshead at 6 years old, refill port hogshead of 10 years, a refill rum barrel of 11 years, a refill sherry hogshead of 11 years, and a first fill sherry hogshead of 12 years. Those whiskies are in front of you. You taste them, you blend the ratios, you get a sense of which one works for you and what you enjoy. And when you find the balance that you like, you bottle it. For anyone who's curious, the ratios that I had were 1 part first fill bourbon barrel, 1 part refill rum barrel, and 2 parts refill port hogshead. The youngest whiskey being the port hogshead at 10 years old. So this Springbank expression is a 10-year-old whiskey, and it came in at 57.9%. specially blended by McIntyre's malts. So probably my favorite bottle that I brought back. Okay, the next bottle that I brought back from Campbelltown was a Springbank 15-year-old. The beauty of this was when you get to Springbank, each day there's a limited allocation of expressions on the shelf. When we were going, there was 6 bottles of the 10-year-old and 2 bottles of the 15-year-old pretty much each day. And we went in to see what was there, and that was what was on the shelf. And I was umming and ahhing about getting a bottle of the 15 because it's not unique in terms of the lineup, but it is still challenging to get at a reasonable or retail price in Australia. So while I'm standing there looking at the 2 bottles of 15 on the shelf, this hand comes over my shoulder, grabs 1 bottle and takes it away. So I just grabbed that last bottle and bought it. So that's the story behind that one, and I'm glad that I did. Retail price, which is much, much cheaper than we get in Australia. So glad to get another Springbank 15 in my possession. Okay, these bottles I'm going to show you now are basically Kilkerran warehouse tasting bottles that we got taken through a tour and enjoying and tasting these whiskies in the warehouse with Ali, who is an absolute rock star. And then we basically were able to go into the store and buy the expressions that we enjoyed. They are 350ml bottles, which is to make sure that we all got a share, which is wonderful. And there was maybe 6 different expressions. Of the 6 that I tried and enjoyed, I picked 3 of them that I liked. So we'll begin with the port pipe. So this one was probably my favorite overall. See if you can get a good sense and see the label. This one here is distilled in November 2013, bottled October 2024, a port pipe from 2013 to 2020, 7 years, and then further maturation in a refill bourbon barrel for an additional 4 years. We are at 54.8% ABV, and this one was fantastic. I love port cask matured or finished whiskey. It's just on the right flavor profile for my palate, so was big on this. We were only allowed to buy 1 of each expression, but my friend Paul knew how much I enjoyed this expression, and he bought a bottle and gifted it to me as well. So I am very thankful to have 2 bottles of this, and will be enjoyed sparingly for sure. One of the other expressions that I purchased from the Kilkerran warehouse tasting was the fresh bourbon barrel. This is the heavily peated Kilkerran expression, November 2015, distilled and bottled in September 2024. This one is interesting because 350ml bottle, 35 centiliters on the label, and then someone has written 35% ABV, probably just by mistake on the label as well. But the notes I have when we're trying this in the warehouse, it was, I believe it was just over 60% ABV on this one. Just incredible, heavily peated Kilkerran, entirely matured in a fresh bourbon barrel. Yeah, just it works. I don't even need to tell you. If you know, you know. Great, great whiskey. And the final Kilkerran warehouse tasting expression that I came home with is a refill sherry hogshead. This is distilled in November 2013, bottled in October 2024. .2% ABV. Another one that just really impressed me out of the 6 that we tried. And the most wonderful thing when you go to these places is these bottles, they're about 30 or 40 pounds, which is, more or less double in Australian dollars. So we're talking 60 to 80 bucks, less than $100 for a 350ml pure out of the warehouse Kilkerran. So yeah, incredible value, incredible flavor, I'm very thankful to come home with these as well. Another Campbelltown whiskey that I brought with me is one that was a distillery exclusive. We didn't tour Glen Scotia, but we went in and just checked it out. A couple of us on the tour decided to go and have a look at the place. You can't be in Campbelltown and not visit Glen Scotia as well. And I have grabbed this bottle. Is a exclusive cask, specially selected, a first fill tawny port hogshead finish. 7 years aged. Distilled 2016, bottled 2024, 200 bottles, 56% ABV. I tried this in the distillery. They allowed us to taste and sample a whole lot of different expressions that they had. And again, being a fan of port casks, this one spoke to me. So I naturally grabbed it and brought it back with me. And I'm looking forward to enjoying this whiskey when the time is right. The final Campbelltown whiskey that I brought with me is not actually from Springbank, but a wonderful win nonetheless. And it is a bottle of the Springbank cask strength 12-year-old, the latest release. So this one, the story behind this is we were ultimately in Edinburgh at the end of the tour. We were looking at different whiskey stores and we were looking at Royal Mile whiskies. Ivan, thank you, my friend. Great shop, wonderful experience, very knowledgeable, beautiful staff there. 3 of us from the tour were just, looking around, seeing what else was available because we hadn't consumed or purchased enough whiskey yet. And there was a dapper gentleman, beautifully dressed in a 3-piece suit with a cane and a wax-twisted mustache. Really cool style, right? And you notice him because of how he was presenting himself. And he's standing at the counter of the store, and we see the back of the Springbank 12 cask strength label. My friends and I noticed, you're always on the hunt, right? And we see it and we're like, that's a Springbank. He's got a Springbank 12, and I know for those of you that know in Australia, this one is very hard to come by. And we were looking around trying to see what the situation was. So we went over to the clerk and said, was that a special order, the Springbank that the man was purchasing? We were informed that no, it wasn't. It's just come in this morning. We were very unsure if that meant it was available. So sheepishly we asked, can we buy it? And we were met with great joy when we were told that we could buy it, but we were told only 1 bottle per household. So we had to let the clerk know that we weren't all roommates. We're not living together. We were on a tour. We've come from Australia. They checked our ID to make sure we were all in different locations, and we all were able to purchase 1 bottle each for the 3 of us. And beyond that wonderful timing, the serendipity of being in the right place at the right time, we paid £68, which is retail price for this. So we're talking barely 140 Australian dollars. For those of you that know, typically, if you can't get this in a ballot and you have to buy it at auction, you're looking at 400 Australian dollars. So that's quite possibly one of the biggest wins of the entire tour for me, and a fantastic way to end the tour. That was the last bottle I purchased on my way home. So very happy with that. Oh, I almost forgot. The last 2 Campbelltown bottles, of course, were Springbank cage bottles that I purchased. Now, some of you might be saying, why do you have 2 cage bottles when you're only allowed to purchase 1 cage bottle in a week? The beautiful thing about having great whiskey friends like my friend Bobby, who are very measured and thorough in how things get done. We went straight to Campbelltown on the first day we arrived in Scotland before the tour started. And by the time the tour arrived in Campbelltown, it had been 1 week past and we were able to pick up a second cage bottle. So beautiful timing in that regard. On my first day there, we did the barley to bottle tour and were allowed to see the cage list and choose from what was on the list. One of the perks of doing the barley to bottle tour. So we didn't have to just take what was left in the cage. And I chose, on that instance, the Springbank Fresh Bourbon Cask from Warehouse 7. This is rotation 467. It's a 58.6% ABV, 13-year age statement. Really nice age-stated bourbon matured Springbank at full cask strength. Wonderful stuff. Very happy with that, as you can imagine. And then on return, when we went the final part of the tour, I was able to grab a Hazelburn fresh sherry matured whiskey, 59.9% ABV, 6-year age statement, Warehouse 15, rotation 1124. So a nice balance of having a lovely young sherried Hazelburn and a fresh bourbon matured Springbank with a little bit of an age statement as well. Great stuff out of Campbelltown. Okay, one of the other distilleries that I was very happy to purchase from and is quite a favorite of mine in Speyside is Glenallachie. So we went to Glendronach and we were running a little short on time and weren't able to do the hand fill bottles ourselves. I wanted to purchase the experience of doing the hand fill on a expression that I enjoyed after I tried it. So I waited until I got to Glenallachie to purchase, and I'm thankful I did. And I picked up 2 bottles from Glenallachie. The first of which is a 2013 single cask Chinkapin barrel. This one was not a hand fill, but it is a distillery exclusive. Cask number 2276, 11 years old, distilled 2013, bottled 2024, one of 213 bottles. Of course, no added color, non-chill filtered, 62.2% ABV. This one is lovely. The way that Glenallachie uses the Chinkapin barrels really impresses me, and I like it quite a lot. So after trying this expression on the distillery tour, I grabbed a bottle. It was a no-brainer for me. It was just wonderful. And to have an exclusive bottling that you can't get anywhere else ticks boxes for a whiskey lover like me. And the other bottle I got from Glenallachie, some of you who follow me on Instagram may have seen the videos where I do the hand fill of this one myself. It was wonderful to hand fill. It's part of the joy of going to a distillery. You want to have that experience, right? Tasting the whiskey, finding that it works for you, filling the bottle, putting the cork in, sealing it, the whole thing, writing on the label. It's a nice experience. And this one is the hand fill that they had available for us on the day we went. It is a 2007 single cask PX Puncheon, cask number 4044. It's a 16-year-old, distilled in 2007, bottled in 2024. My bottle was number 399 from that barrel. Not sure if there's any left. And we got 62.5% ABV. Incredible stuff. I'm a big fan of a sweet sherry whiskey, and PX is about as sweet as you get. Look at the color. That is incredible. Absolutely stunning. Very rich and decadent dram. A wonderful bottling, made even better by the fact that I got to fill this bottle myself. A bottle that I picked up that I thought was a great win when we were up in Inverness from a wonderful store called Inverness Whiskey. Excellent store, just a great selection, really nice boutique, not too big, but knew their stuff and had great available whiskey at really, really solid, good pricing as well. And I picked up this bottle because I don't often see this kind of stuff, so I was excited by this one. This is a Douglas Lang's Old Particular bottling of a Talisker. So I had to grab this one, tried this, and it was just that quintessential Talisker flavor, but ramped up with the intensity of being a cask strength. So I'll give you a look at the label here. The Douglas Lang bottles are beautiful. The way they are presented, the labels, they're just really nice. They have this beautiful sort of presentation that I quite like. Now this one obviously being an exclusive bottling for Inverness Whiskey Store. It was distilled in 2011, bottled in March 2024, charged from a refill hogshead, one of 311 bottles, non-chill filtered, natural color, 12-year age statement, and 57% ABV. About the most pure and unadulterated Talisker that I'm going to find. I'm very excited, of course, to grab such a wonderful expression of Talisker and find that along the way, because we didn't get to visit the Talisker distillery, but I'm happy to bring home some Talisker with me from Scotland. Okay, seeing as we are in the islands when we're talking Talisker, even though Inverness is not in the islands, let's head over to the Isle of Mull, where the sole distillery on the island is Tobermory. Now, this one was a lot of fun. Visiting Tobermory was a wonderful experience. I, as you know, am a peat lover, so naturally I was excited to try Lecheg expressions in the warehouse there. Wonderful tour hosted by Oliver. There were some incredible expressions that we got to try, and I wanted to buy more bottles when I was at Tobermory, but some of them, I guess they play to the fact that they're distillery exclusives and it's so remote that you've come all the way there. You're gonna not want to leave without these bottles. But I really wanted, they had, I think it was a 13-year-old fully matured in a ruby port cask, but it was just way too expensive. Unfortunately, a little bit too high on the price point. So when I left Tobermory, I left with two smaller bottles, these 200ml expressions. In their own right, these were very expensive as well. First one here is a 2007 red wine cigar hogshead is what it says on the label. These are hand-fill bottles, but I didn't get to hand-fill these. They were basically filled at the distillery and available for purchase. So I grabbed a couple of different expressions. This is the first one. It's 57% ABV, cask 227, and it was filled in September 24. Every now and then it's nice to find a whiskey that pairs very well with a cigar. So I grabbed a small bottle of this to have for that very reason. But the one that is the one I am most excited about, that I was happy to bring home with me, this one we tried in the warehouse and were informed that it is the oldest remaining Lecheg stock in the warehouse. So this was a wonderful experience to try and then to be able to purchase as well. We're talking a 26-year-old Lecheg from 1998, sherry matured, cask 360, 53.1%. I couldn't leave without it, but I could only get a 200ml bottle of it because it was very expensive, as you can imagine. A 26-year-old Lecheg. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. Absolutely wonderful. Okay, for those of you that know, when you come back from the Isle of Mull, you often end up coming back through Oban. So we stopped in Oban for a little while, and one of the bottles that I picked up at a whiskey shop there was a whiskey sponge expression. This is part of the Isla Sponge series that they have. It is a sherry matured Kalila, and managed to actually talk a discount on this bottle thanks to my friend Bobby as well. He gets some good stuff too, and we work as a team. I was really excited because it was far cheaper than I could get this in Australia, and it's very hard to come by. But if you see them, I recommend them. Incredible independent bottler. They know how to pick great casks, and this one here is a 13-year-old, one of 273 bottles, 53% ABV. It is part 6 in the Isla Sponge series, matured in a refill sherry hogshead and a first fill sherry hogshead. Yeah, very happy to come home with a whiskey like this, a Kalila with sherry influence at cask strength in a very, very great price. Can't be upset about picking this up in Oban. And of course, that leads us over to the end portion of the tour being in Islay, which is, of course, Mecca for whiskey lovers like me. And I got a couple of bottles there. I bought a few bottles in addition to this that I gave as gifts, but these are the ones that I've bought for myself. So the first of which was a Laphroaig that we received as part of the tour that I did there. It's a single cask Laphroaig bottled for McIntyre's malts. We got this 350 mils, 2016 distilled, 2024 bottled cask 4751, bottle number 89 at 58.1% ABV. It is basically a single cask, 8-year-old bourbon matured Laphroaig, just quintessential Laphroaig, and absolutely lovely, young and peaty and salty and briny and just great. And I opened this one to enjoy with friends on New Year's Eve. So we haven't got a lot of this one left, as you can see here. But that's the beauty of whiskey, right? It's supposed to be opened and enjoyed. So no need to sort of sit on and hold it. Let's share it together. So this was a wonderful memento from the tour that I did at Laphroaig. Now, at the end of that tour, I went into the Laphroaig visitor center and the store and asked them, do you have any hand fills? Do you have any unique distillery bottling? Something that I can get that's symbolic of my visit to the motherland. And they said to me, we have no hand fills, but we have the limited sherry series that the team picks the casks for. So I was excited to try this one and taste and see what it was. Bottle number 3 of 4 in the series was the Visitor Center Team Sherry Series. This is the Manzanilla cask. So this one I tried, as well as bottle number 2 in the series, which was the Fino cask, which was absolutely incredible as well. They didn't have the Fino cask. I don't believe at the time I went, they only had this Manzanilla, and I was blown away by the Fino cask and couldn't leave without the Manzanilla. It's distilled in 2007, but it doesn't tell you what month. It's bottled in the 3rd of June 2024, so it may be a 17-year-old whiskey, it may be a 16-year-old whiskey, but we are talking natural color, non-chill filtered, cask strength, 51.2% ABV. This one is the most cloudy and sediment-rich Laphroaig I have ever seen in my life. Pure and wonderful, natural, rich Laphroaig, and I was able to bring it back with me, and knowing that I can't find it anywhere else, it's an absolute treat. It's one of 207 bottles, and they asked me what number I wanted. I asked if they had bottle number 42, which they did, and I just recently turned 42, and I opened this on my 42nd birthday to celebrate with. Wonderful whiskey, absolutely incredible. I'm very thankful. I believe this was the most expensive whiskey that I purchased on the tour. It was in the realm of, I think it was £325. So we're talking maybe 650 Australian, in that realm. So quite a lot, but couldn't leave Laphroaig without it. So very great whiskey. The final whiskey that I have to share with you guys today that I brought back from Scotland with me on my recent tour is a Lagavulin distillery exclusive bottling. I brought a few of these bottles, gifted a couple as well, just because I really liked this one. There was some wonderful stuff that we tried in Lagavulin in the warehouse. It was a lot of fun. Surprisingly, this one stood out to me the most. Batch number 1 of their distillery exclusive. So it must be potentially a new series that they're doing. It's matured in ex-bourbon barrels and then heavily charred American oak casks. 56.5% ABV, no age statement, and it's just absolutely delicious. Wonderful, great Lagavulin, just perfect stuff. So I grabbed this, and I'm very happy that I did. I wanted to get more when we were doing the Islay trifecta and went to Ardbeg, but they just didn't have anything really great to offer, unfortunately. I feel like Ardbeg missed a trick. No no unique bottlings, no distillery exclusives, no hand fills. I only came home with Lagavulin and Lefroy from Isla. So yeah, that's all the stuff I brought. Hopefully whiskey lovers like me enjoy this one. I know it's a little bit different than usual, but that's my haul. Very soon I will start putting together some videos with tour footage, distillery footage, and some of the really cool adventures that we went on together. So make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, and look forward to seeing those videos. And I look forward to a wonderful 2025 with you guys. Cheers.